Hello and welcome back to Rhodia Traveled. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is basically after being introduced to the captain, finally, and finding out what exactly happened to Tucker, or I guess why or how Tucker found himself at the station. At least the prevailing theory is that basically Dr. Seno, or was it Professor Seno? I think it's Professor Seno. Uh, due to his little misguided experiments on the Mayron, which he apparently did not invent. He more like tinkered with it. Um, he kind of did something which triggered something else, which ended up apparently causing Tucker to be transported all the way from Earth to the Icaroid too. So yeah, apparently that's what happened. And yeah, like I said, after basically the captain forced Professor Seno to basically tell Tucker what happened. Um, eh, well, he left, and Tucker was just sitting like, okay. And eventually, the captain revealed that, oh, by the way, I can also understand you. And she turned around, and we finally got the reveal of who the captain is, with like awesome, imposing '80s sci-fi music. Uh, it reminded me sort of like the Terminator, the song that plays when you finally get like the reveal of the captain. But yeah. Anyways, so well, let's see what else the captain has to talk with Tucker with. And yeah. Anyways, well, let's continue. I see why this is her office now. Her gaunt face is in stark contrast to her stunning red eyes as a wicked grin peels across her muzzle. I have a feeling that she was waiting for that. Even from here, I can see that she's massive. She must almost be as tall as Merowyn. And what's up with her arm? Is she plugged directly into her chair? And is that... My god. A single point in the sea of darkness. An impossibility that I must stare down and take as... What am I thinking? Have I heard that somewhere before? Allow me to properly introduce myself. I am Captain Bell, First Commander of the Icaroid II, Director of all Interplanetary Relations, and something of an accomplished pilot. But you may call me Captain. It is a pleasure to finally meet you, Tucker. What? Thank you? It's, a pleasure to meet you too. Her thin lips curl into a short smile, and I'm shocked to see how genuine it looks. I didn't expect her to have such a calming presence. Before we move on, I would like to state that I am sorry for Professor Seno's behavior. He might be a genius, but I have always found his better half more amenable. Better half? Does she mean Merowyn? Probably. Might just be a translation issue. Oh, it's, fine. He's helped me so far. Even if he, well, I suppose you know. Yes, I do. We don't need to ruminate on it any further. Not now. I do actually love it if we could move on to a more pertinent topic. You. Of course. What would you like to know? She strums her finger across the desk as a red light shoots down some lights built into the cables. Tilting her head, she scrutinizes my minute form as I wait as patiently as I can in this stupid chair. I've read the reports, reviewed the logs, and drawn some inferences. Yet, I'm still curious. What are you doing here? And I don't mean that wholly literally, nor wholly metaphorically. I'm curious what could be going through the mind of something so far from home. Something that had everything taken from it. What I see before me now has only been explained to me through text and blurry images. And that's not nearly enough for me. I want to know what you are. I want to know everything. What do you mean? She simply grins and leans back in her chair, her one arm slowly tapping the desk impatiently. If I didn't know any better, I think that she's enjoying this. A predator before the kill. You're a fascinating thing, despite it all. First contact served with the dictionary, a guest perfectly able to live and commune with us. Is that not strange? What I said to Senno is true. I'm not one for religion. But this? It does make me think. She takes a solemn glance back at the eye as it stares us down with uncaring solar fury. Well, your answer? In the few fatal moments before she strikes, my mind races to find something to sate her hunger. And yet, through it all, I come up blank. Blank after blank after blank page turning in my mind. No story, no anecdote to tell. No one thing that drives me. Nothing except that star, and even brighter eyes burning through me. I am nothing. Nothing. I don't think that you'll find any answers with me. Only more questions. I am far from home, and yet, even there, I felt distant. I can't tell you what you want because I don't know myself. And somehow, through it all, I'm just me. Which is to say, I do not know what I am. Sharp seconds pass as a horrifying grin appears on her muzzle. Eyes now laser focused on every iota of my being. Oh, you are interesting. Her lame eye twitches as she has a hard time keeping it open. Only for her smile to eventually curl into a far more gentle grin. Good, well, I'm glad to see that you're living up to expectations. I'd hate for all of this to end with paperwork. Unsure of what she means, I simply offer a nervous nod. Although, I must say, she has to stifle a chuckle as she speaks. You've written yourself to be quite the blank slate. I'm sure that will change. In time. It's something to work on, yeah. There is nothing wrong with a blank slate. We all have to start somewhere. Something of worth may be inscribed upon you yet. To inscribe upon it would change it forever, though. Have you not been changed already? I can't answer her. Mainly because she's right. And the expression on her face shows it. Nevertheless, it seems as though you will have time to find yourself. Don't worry, I'm patient. I'm not sure that I believe that, but I give her a knowing nod just to be safe. By the void, this might just be worth our time. If I had known aliens would be so amiable, I would have signed up to be an explorer, not... I, for one, expected first contact to involve a plague or a bullet through the back of my skull. Well, I could always... Cut off by some unseen force, she raises her hand to her chest and... What? How many goddamn monitor models are there, and why does mine suck? She must have caught me staring as the orbs fly back to her chest with a theatrical snap. You seem... interested? Those are your monitors? They're... very impressive. It's hard to even attempt to act casual about this, but I try to restrain myself knowing the environment right now. They're a bit gaudy, I know, but it's necessary with this whole situation. She raises her shoulder, and the mess of cables sluggishly retracts, only being lifted an inch or so. They must be heavy. I imagine. Well, that's enough to state my curiosity. Let's get down to business. Business? Yes, of course. While I would love to just chat, we need to discuss your new role as a member of our prestigious crew. I'm sorry? Did I miss something? I don't believe so. I was just about to assign you your new job as a member of the working staff of the Igoroid 2. Okay? It's simply a formality. Under the working code of the station, all personnel must be assigned a job, lest they be reassigned. Oh, so what am I, being assigned? Yes, that is the question, isn't it? She reviews some things on her monitor as she mumbles to herself. A job? Huh. I guess that makes sense, kinda. I figured that my job was like subject of research or lab rat. I'm pretty sure people got paid to be tested on back home. Wait. Am I going to be earning space money for doing this? That'd be kinda cool. Although, due to the fact that I'm on some weird, part military, part scientific research vessel, I'm not so sure where I'd spend it on. I wonder what a Karain Mall would even look like. The captain clears her throat and snaps the screen away once more. From what I've been told, you're proving yourself to be at least somewhat helpful to have around. So I can spare you from any truly tedious positions. Of course, you'll still need to help out with Dr. Seno's research, as well as whatever the professor comes up with. But beyond that, you have some choice. Mind you, it's a choice between working as an assistant or waiting for another position to open, which may take a while. It seems like doing nothing is a choice, but that surprisingly is not very enticing. Although, I feel like that I should learn more about this assistant role first. What would that entail, the assistant position? What you would expect, really? Taking notes, running errands, whatever they need from you during your work hours? Of course, that's if they can make time for you. You aren't working for Karain that find themselves glut with free time. Yeah, I kinda noticed that. Well, It doesn't seem too different from what I've been doing, and besides taking some more notes, I doubt that any of them would push me too hard. Not that it would kill me to work a bit harder. Ugh, now is not the time for these thoughts. I might as well. Sounds better than doing nothing all day. And besides, maybe it'll finally be a job that I can find some enjoyment in. I'll take the assistant role if that's possible. Of course. It should be manageable. I'll be sure to have the schedule and an overview of your responsibilities sent to you and your guardians. Oh boy. I'm sure Kess is not going to be happy when they hear about this. Think of this more as an official label for what you've already been doing, but with a few more rules and benefits. Anyways, it seems that you already have some experience at this. And the uniform to match as well. I notice her staring at my chest, and I hazard a glance, only to be reminded of my stupid intern t-shirt. Ugh, at least she thinks it's funny. Oh, I see. Well, that's a relief. But I'll be sure to do what I can to help them, Captain. I channel my inner Maruk and offer a sloppy salute. I think it's enough, as she chuckles and continues talking. Speaking of though, I've heard that your guardians have had a hard time finding a uniform for you. I thought that it might be pertinent to let you know that arrangements have been made for you, and your new uniform should be ready for you as soon as tonight. My new uniform? Clothes, human? I've managed to prepare a set of clothes for you. Oh, thank you, Captain. That's too kind. It's simply a necessity. No one should be out of uniform if they can help it. I offer a stiff nod and decide not to tell her about every time that I've seen Maruk out of uniform. But new clothes sound great. I hope that I can keep my jacket though. I'm not sure an assistant is allowed to wear whatever this is. I might just wear it anyway. Now, of course, after managing your uniform, the next step would usually be housing, but it seems that has already been accounted for. May I ask how that's working out for you? Oh, it's been great. Director Tyrion has been very helpful in adjusting me to life aboard the station. I haven't had any issues sharing a room so far. And you've become accustomed to his work habits? I know that he's particularly dedicated to his post. Yes, it's been fine so far. His crew is very kind to... I try to freeze as the words leave my lips. I'm not sure if she was supposed to know that or not. Her expression stays as unreadable as ever. I've yet to meet them myself, but I've heard good things. Right. Well, if you ever feel the need to room alone, I'm sure that I can set it up for you. Mind you, I'm not sure if there are any other rooms in that area of the ship left, but something could be arranged. Oh really? I guess I was mainly rooming with them to ensure that I would be safe and everything. But I also don't mind it. They've been kind to me so far. I see no reason to be alone anymore. That's a kind offer, Captain, but I'll stay where I am for now. Thank you. Just know, the offer stands. Now, let's see. You've been assigned to your new position, given housing and clothing. I know that you've managed to visit a few parts of the station already, but with your new position, you'll be granted access to the rest of it. Most of it, anyways. Wait, I'm no longer restricted to the executive suites and labs? Well, as of now, yes, you are. But once I finish some forms, I will graciously extend your access to other parts of the station. It's only right for a working member of the crew, after all. Thank you. That's great to hear. Although, it's a bit surprising, if I may. Wasn't the reason to limit my movements for my safety and the safety of the crew? You do listen. Yes, it was. Once I fill out these papers, though, a station-wide announcement will go through and inform everyone of your new status as a member of the crew, which will grant you certain immunities you are not currently afforded. Oh. Okay. And besides, limiting your guardians to the confines of the laboratory floor is asinine. They have other places that they need to be. I would still advise you to traverse with them if possible, but once you have your identification card, even I can't stop you from going where you wish. I feel like you could probably stop me. Oh, I very much could, she says with a cutting grin. But watching you scurry about the station has been far more enjoyable than not. Right. Captain? May I ask a question? Of course. What is it? I've only heard rumors so far, but I was curious. What effect has my existence had on the crew? I've heard that there have been some incidents of tardiness. But other than that, I really don't know. Are you worried? No, Yes, I think I am. Good. You should be. As dangerous as you may or may not be, I doubt any of it would protect you from a Karain. You don't have the... stature for it? But as I said, after today, you will just be another member of the crew. So walk with some pride, if you can. Sure. I don't think that I entirely understand it, but everything she's saying seems pretty much in line with what I could want. I'm getting new clothes, more access to the station, and something to do. Despite the rough start, this meeting is really working out. Is there anything that I should know before you make the announcement tomorrow? Like, advice or maybe some kind of guidance? Advice? You've managed well enough so far without me. You'll figure it out. I think that I would prefer a manual to that kind of encouragement. But it'll have to do for now. With another slight jolt, she pulls out her monitor and eyes up some new messages. Her eyes quickly scan it for its contents, and she releases a small sigh. It seems that we're going to have to cut this meeting short. Time has become rather tight. I do hope that's okay. Yeah, sure. Of course, Yes, Captain will suffice. Okay, fine. This meeting has been everything that I needed it to be. Now I just need to message Rhoun and I can get out of here. While we have this last moment, please, if you would, do you mind indulging me in one last question? Quickly putting my phone away, I turn back to her. She's partially turned to the window behind her now. The star. What do you think of it? Tilting my head up to face it head-on, I stare at it, fully engrossed in its solidarity. I had only so much time to stare earlier, but now with my eyes fully set on it, it's really something. The nothingness of it all is far more pronounced than I would ever have imagined. Void doesn't do it justice. I don't think a word exists for such a solitude. Even its pale color seems to bend and twist under fallible eye. It's something to behold for sure. Well, I think it's just lonely. Calling out for something or someone to hold on to. She turns her massive chair to stare at it, the cables almost becoming taut as she strains, just enough to get a view. Seconds pass like marks until... Huh. How needlessly poetic. A star can just be a star and nothing more. But I like it. Keep thinking. I expect another answer next time that we meet. Sure. Yes, Captain. Good. May I ask one more thing before I go? Make it fast. What do you think about it? Surely it's not just some star to you. She doesn't turn to face me, but it doesn't take her too long to respond. Perhaps I only wish it were. I feel that I maybe overstepped my bounds a bit there. Seeing as she's not yelling at me, I think that I might be good. But what does she mean by that? I dare not ask another question, not today. Although... Okay, I like it. Maybe think about it. I hope that you have another answer for me next time that we meet. A sharp red glow lights up from behind her chair as it swivels towards me. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Okay, I went too far. Good to know. I was just, kidding. You don't have to... You really are worth keeping around. Very well, I expect much more from you. I hope that you do not disappoint. I don't intend to. I don't intend to, Captain. There we go. Now, I need to go, but let me walk you out. Wait, can she get out of that thing? I was beginning to think that she lived in that chair. She raises her arm to the tangle coming out of her shoulder, and I hear the sound of gas escaping a pipe. The cord glows a bright, furious red before a scraping sound can be heard as she pulls a piece from her body and drops it with a resounding thud. So much for it being fragile. Standing up now, I take her full height, and by the eye. She is almost as tall as Merowyn. Not to mention that piece on her hip. It looks far meaner than the one that I saw being wielded by those guards. From under the desk, she pulls out a jacket that looks similar to Maruk's, if not a bit fancier. She whips it on effortlessly and starts adjusting her various straps and latches. While she gets ready, I take this time to message Rhoun to come pick me up. Looking up from my phone and focusing on her shoulder, I do see that it looks like she could have an arm like Rowan's. But unless she has an extra arm under the desk too, I'm unsure as to where it could be. Noticing me staring, she pipes up. Oh, excuse me. Before reaching under the desk again and pulling out what looks like a flag or bandana of some kind and... well, I guess that works. Please, the door. Huh? Oh, right. Heading to the doors to her office, I open them for her, and we head out into the lobby. She offers a single nod to the receptionist, who nods and seems to start packing up for the day as we head out. I have to head out to another meeting now, but I hope that today was... enlightening for you. It... it was something. Thank you, Captain. You'll be fine getting back to your room? Oh no, I'm just gonna wait here. Rhoun is going to come and pick me up. Good. I will message you when I am ready to meet again, Tucker. I look forward to it. With an understanding nod, she turns and walks away. Her even pace quickly takes her down the hallway and out of the sight, leaving me waiting for my guardian. It is not so bad here. The plants are nice. Almost half a mark passes before I hear the familiar sound of a particular director running to come pick me up. He's going to fall and hurt himself one of these days. Eventually, he turns the corner and leans up against one of the nearby walls to catch his breath. You okay there, bud? Me? What about you? I'm not the one who ran here. What? I know that. But the meeting... How was the meeting? Oh, I think it went well. It was a bit confusing. She kept the conversation moving so fast that I lost track of what was happening at some points. What did she ask about? Did she yell at you? No. I don't think that she yelled at me per se, but there was some yelling. Seeing my answer only confuses him, I decide to skip it for now. But she asked me some of the questions that you guys have asked me before, actually. How did I get here, what I'm doing here, that kind of thing. Oh, I thought that we already gave her those in our reports. Unless your answers have changed? Do you remember something? Nah, I wish. I just said the same thing that I always do. I can't tell if she was really happy to hear that, though. But probably not. But it's okay. You got through it. Did she say anything else? We talked about a lot of stuff, bud. I'm not sure that we have time right now, but she did mention one thing. Yeah? What is it? She said that I'm your assistant now. Something about some roles that required me to have a job while here or something. As I keep talking, I notice a familiar glare in his eyes. My words are no longer reaching him, and now I'm left wondering when he got lost. Rhoun? Buddy? You still in there? Offering a small wave, he snaps out of it and scratches the back of its head. Oh, sorry. I was just, thinking. Assistant? Well, I already have been calling you that, kinda. Just, Kess is not gonna like that. Oh man, was I right about that? Shit, well, I hope that they don't take it too hard. It's not like I'm taking their actual jobs, right? I guess I'll have to ask later. But, that's funny. I'm not as, versed on the laws of the station as maybe I should be. I wonder why you'd need to be given a job just to stay around. I think it has more along the lines of making it clear that I am a crew member, giving me an official label. Or something. Okay. Yeah, I don't really get it either. Well, most crew members live on the upper decks. Are you, leaving already? It's fine if you are. I'll help you move your, a backpack if you need to. Nah, I told her that I'd like to stay with you for now, if that's okay. Yeah, that's great. It's good. It's very good. Alright, I'm glad to hear it. How about we head out, though? I don't think that we need to really be here anymore. Hmm? He cocks his head as he repositions himself against the wall. Rhoun, we can leave now. We don't have to hang out here in the hallway. Oh, right. Yeah, let's head out and... Ah, Director Tyrion. Late again, I see. He almost slips and falls down the wall as he hears a voice coming from behind him. He slowly turns his head as much as he can to face the captain, who I see now has returned and is standing by her door. I had only come back to pick something up. But what a stroke of luck running into you. I've been wondering where you had crawled off to. Professor Seno has been harassing me that his toys keep breaking. Can you see to it that they get fixed? Right, you're the quiet one. Well, get Delal on it. Yes, Cap. And Director. Find it in yourself to address me correctly next time we meet. Am I understood? He barely ekes out a nod as he finally stands up straight and faces her. Good. Dismissed. Rhoun manages a shaky salute, but she's already giving me a gentle nod on the way into her office. I have to tug on his loose jacket to get him to finally stop staring at the door. The tension releases from his body as he sighs and rubs his face. I think I need to. Let's head out now, yeah? Not waiting for a response, he turns and I follow. Whatever the fuck that was has me worried. But I know now is not the time to console him about it. The halls have a nice abundance of foliage and carpet, but I can't help but focus on something that we just walked past. I can't help but wonder what it's for. And are those floating orbs? That's not actually the coolest thing that I've seen today, but it's a novelty that isn't lost on me. Rhoun seems to have also surprisingly stopped. His trepidation has been replaced by something else. He seems calmer. What is this? It's a monument. I try looking at the monitors and signs, but I can't figure it out. I decide to ask again. What is it for? He doesn't take his eyes off the statue, but even through his dour demeanor, I can see a certain reverence in his eyes. They shine just a bit brighter under the dim light. It speaks for so much. Everything we worked for. And those that dedicated everything to Allrain. Taking one last glance at the massive installation, I admire its simplicity and watch as the planets slowly dance in its pause. It's beautiful. It is. Once he's taken some time to send out messages and rearrange his desk a bit, Rhoun seems to have livened up a bit. I'm pretty sure that I saw him just swipe back and forth between the same few pages again and again. But if it works for him, then who am I to say otherwise? Fortunately for me though, it seems that he's almost done for the day. Alright, that's enough of that. We should head out before we're late. Late to what? Late to, He quickly turns around and opens up his monitor again, reading something off of a very long list before selecting one seemingly at random. Right here. It says that Dr. Merowyn wants to see us. Oh, that's news to me, bud. Are you sure that I'm supposed to see that? Quickly turning around again, I peek over as best as I can to see. I can hear him reading the message under his breath. After the meeting, meet me at... Surprise for... He almost bumps into me as he shoots up and stiffly turns to me. We, need to go. For no particular reason. Uh-huh. And we're totally not going to see a certain doctor, no? Nope. Alright, well, lead the way. Climbing out from the bowels of the ship, I'm not too surprised to see that the lights have dimmed for the night. There are a few Karain roaming the halls at this time. Most of them don't even notice me. That or they just don't seem to mind, which feels pretty good. It's a step in the right direction, I think. We'll have to see after tomorrow's announcement. There are familiar hallways, familiar corners, and familiar signs until we come to a familiar set of doors. So, the library, huh? No doctors in here? Nope. No surprises either. He says with a small chuckle. All right, shall we? He excitedly gets a door for me and I head in, only to be met with a familiar face. Surprise! Merowyn jumps up from his seat as we walk in. I'm honestly surprised that he didn't have confetti ready. Oh, wow. You totally got me. Hee. What? How did you? Rhoun, did you tell them? What? No. Coughing into my fist, I mutter quite loudly. Totally did. Well, nonetheless, it's great that you could make it, Tucker. So, are you the surprise? I'm still a bit confused. Oh, no. I just invited everyone to come have dinner together. It's been quite a while since we've been able to meet like this. And I thought that it might be nice to catch up. Oh, that does sound nice, actually. So, should we start, or should we wait for a certain missing member? Ah, yes. He should be here soon. Come, sit. We can just wait for him to arrive. Taking a seat next to Merowyn, we make small talk until our fourth arrives. After about 30 minutes of waiting, and one overly detailed lecture about Karain fur density from Doc, I hear the sound of footsteps approach the door. It sounds like they've stopped outside, and I swear that I can almost hear a sigh before the door opens and Maruk lets himself in. Inspecting the room through half-lidded eyes, he sees himself in and saunters over to an empty seat. Ah, Maruk! I'm glad that you can make it. When you never responded to my message, I was unsure that you were going to have time. You know, I'd never miss a chance to come to whatever this is. What is this anyways? I just thought that it'd be nice for us to catch up and have dinner together. He rolls his eyes while getting situated before turning to me and offering an acknowledging gesture. Once they are seated in, all eyes quickly fall on me. So how did it go? You seem to be doing well, so I imagine it went okay? That, or he's in shock. Oh, don't be so dramatic, Maruk. Honestly, Doc, he's not entirely wrong. Oh? Are you alright? We can postpone this dinner if you'd like. Perhaps it would be best to relax for the night? No, I just... Doc, all of you. He told me what he thinks happened to me. Are they that surprised? The silence can't be shock, right? Tucker. She might seem large and intimidating, but, the captain is a woman. You know that, right? What? No, Tyr. Tyr explained what may have happened to me. The professor? Wait, the professor was in your meeting? Surely you mean that he was brought up, right? No, he was there in the room with me. The captain brought him in and started asking him all these questions. He seemed as confused as I was, but he couldn't tell her no. That is strange. Well, What did he say? If I can ask. Wouldn't you already know, Doc? Well, some of it maybe. I'm not privy to everything my father does. What did he say? Huh? Dear, what happened to you? His words almost silently leave his lips. His face shows no breach of emotion, but I feel that he is worried for me. I think that they all are, even if they are unwilling to show it. He says that it was his fault. I knew it. Care to explain what you mean by that? What do you mean? Surely you know that he's up to a whole bunch of weird stuff. And I mean, come on, anyone with that much security clearance has something to hide. Maruk, that is highly unprofessional. Just because his work is performed behind closed doors does not make it any less legitimate. Yeah? And you'd know? Well, I do not need to be privy to it to know that it is upstanding work. Not privy? Doc, aren't you there half the time? Well, not for all of it. I can't keep an eye on everything that happens there and manage my own work. Oh, can't you though? Guys, please. You know what I mean, Dr. Seno. Even if I could be in multiple places at once, I wouldn't use it for such a pointless task. Pointless? Everything that happens on the station always somehow ends up being his department's fault. Guys, there is no evidence to point to that, Maruk. Must we go over this again? Yeah, we do. Cirrus, this is not the time. Grrr. Guys, Tucker was talking. Don't you yell at me, you. All right, shut it, all of you. Fuck, today's been long enough. I don't need you at each other's throats, all right? Merowyn lets out a big sigh before pinching his brow. By the heart. You're right. I'm sorry, Tucker. I got a bit carried away. Turning to Maruk, he readjusts his glasses and his familiar expression comes back. I'm sorry for yelling, Maruk. If you'd like to talk about my father's work again, perhaps we could meet some other time. Whatever. Maruk. He manages a burning stare in my direction, but I've already seen much worse today. It's not long before he huffs and puffs and turns away. Look, Doc, there's a lot of shit going on around here. And it ain't your fault. But I'm just worried about what I'm not being told. And perhaps you're right to be. Tucker, maybe you can tell us what's happening? Right. As it seems everyone's mostly made up, I try to recall exactly what was said earlier. He said that he thinks it was something that the Mayron did. Kind of. He says that he's certain that it was an accident, but in what way he doesn't know. They talked about it a lot, but a lot of it was vague or in terms that I don't understand. He says that on that day that I arrived, they were doing a test, something new maybe? And it just kept charging up until it overloaded. Does that line up with what you would know, Merowyn? It's not entirely what I've been told. But I know a little about what you're referencing. I'm telling you all I know, okay? The professor doesn't tell me much, and I wasn't there to witness it. I can't get any closer to the Mayron than you can. In fact, I should be the furthest from it. What does he... Oh, right. If his neural got messed up, I don't think he'd make it. But from the data that I've seen, what little I've been told, something strange did happen. Mind you, hardly anything feels routine when it comes to working on that damn machine. I mean, I could have guessed that whatever was going wrong that day was your fault. Because of you. Kinda. It makes sense, And hearing it from you confirms suspicions I had. Dr. Merowyn, sir? Yes? What is the Mayron? I thought that it was just an engine. It is. Okay, but what is it really? I don't understand. The Mayron is an experimental engine that keeps the station powered. Yeah, but Doc, engines don't normally teleport aliens into our labs. Or require as much energy and setup to run. I've seen the reactors back on Io. This is so much more complicated. Well, it is complicated. It's a unique piece of technology. Only Tyr knows how it works. Well, he claims to at least. That sounds like a fine thing to tell Tucker here. Hey, what is that? But tell us, Doc, what the fuck is down there? Look, I know that I'm overstepping my bounds here, but this thing is teleporting people, shaking the whole damn station like it's nothing. Don't make me give the security spiel again. You know I want to keep everyone safe. I can't fucking do that with a ticking time bomb in the basement. Maruk, it's not that simple. Then explain it. How can it be that hard? Because we don't know. The fuck does that mean, Doc? Merowyn takes a moment to rub his face as he drags his excessive fur. He centers himself and puts on a surprisingly stoic face. We don't know, Maruk. I don't know what the Mayron is or how it works. And I don't think Tyr does either. That can't be true, right? I've heard he made it. Surely he must know. He built it, but only part of it. The rest was salvaged from... Well, someone else built the rest, but they aren't with us anymore. Tyr is a genius. Do not underestimate him. Everything that runs the Mayron, he made alone. Without him, it would be scrap metal. But even with his guidance, it doesn't always act as it should. So, what the fuck is it then? Just some... what? It's an engine. Right? We think it is. Some of the design documents were preserved, but they just don't give much in the way of its purpose, more just its manufacture. And still then, it's limited. Repairs are a nightmare trying to figure out what to fix and how. From what I've heard at least. From previous tests, it seems to jettison off vast amounts of energy, enough to power the whole station. And the gravity? Is that it too? It seems to be some kind of byproduct of whatever it's doing. Well, perhaps that's the main function, and the energy is the byproduct. We don't know. Things just tend to be drawn to it. Hey, Doc. Yes, Maruk? That's really fucked up. It's not the best situation, no. But without it, the station wouldn't be functional. So... Everyone seems to be trying to comprehend what Meryl just said. I think I barely grasped surface myself. So, Merowyn, what do you do? I get that you help Tyr out with numbers and code, but is that it? I do. I've told you the extent of my assistance to the professor. Don't you trust me? I feel my heart dip into my chest as he utters those words. I've struck a cruel blow, one that I quickly try to ameliorate. I do. I'm sorry. I just don't understand. This is all so much. And I just can't wrap my mind around it all. Okay. I help him run diagnostics on some of the readings from the May run and its tests. He only asks because I have a custom-made neural, and he trusts me with the information. Everything else I know, he's just told me. Or I've heard him complain about behind closed doors. I'm sorry I've been vague about all of this. I suppose that I should ask him, though. If what you've said is true, I'm sure it's all classified. Even if the data I've been sorting is basically just waste. I'm sorry, Merowyn. His sullen eyes raise through a thin sheet of glass to meet my own. He offers a warm smile. I do trust him, and I suppose that I need to be better about showing it. Thinking back on something else said during the meeting, I have to ask, Merow? Does Tyr have a boss? A boss? Not one that I've heard of, no. He reports back to Sockness from time to time, but otherwise I don't think so, no. He seemed to be freaked out when the captain said someone from Heron was coming. Also, what's Heron? Oh, well, I'm sorry. This is my fault this time. I should have taught you this already. Heron is the moon of Io. Oh, okay, so would there be people there? Doc, isn't there a research base there? There is one, yes, but I don't know of anyone who's from there specifically. Perhaps they're just sending a team to check in on everything, or assist with repairs? The room has gone silent while neurons and neurals whirl. Rhoun stares off into the vagueness of space while Maruk just scratches his head and sighs. Well then, I think that was quite enough excitement for one day. We should reconvene again at some point, but I think that's enough for tonight. At least for me. Yeah, no. I'm gonna have to think about all of that for a while. That's, not what I was expecting to hear over dinner. I'm sorry that it may have gotten confusing. If you ever need to talk, Maruk, you can always just... I know. Listen, Doc, I won't lie. I ain't exactly happy hearing that you knew some of this stuff and didn't tell me. Or us, beforehand. I know that you aren't supposed to, and I know that you probably shouldn't have even told us now. But it's still a lot to take in. And I know that I ain't much, but even I can tell that there's more. Maruk, Doc, I just don't know, okay? He's right, Dr. Merowyn. I've been here the least amount of time out of anyone here. Excluding you, Tucker. But even I know there's something wrong with not letting the crew know. I know it's not your fault. But it worries me what I don't know. Merowyn's expression is an unreadable mess. I think I see countless thoughts dashing behind his eyes. I can't imagine how hard it is for him to have to keep these things from us. Nonetheless, he has to. Whether for his father or for his job. I understand it. Even if it sucks. Merowyn? I don't think that he expected any interjection, as he quickly and worriedly looks towards me. Yes, Tucker? I trust you. I think that I can say that we all do. Maruk and Rhoun offer a non-committal grunt, and a few short head nods respectively. We're just... nervous. This thing, it's... everything is so... You're right, it's late, and we don't have time to do this now. Let's take a break. We'll get back to this some other time. I don't think anything is going to happen soon, especially since Tyr might have damaged the Mayron again. Or it did it itself. Merowyn sighs. Rubbing his face, he tries to put on a brave expression. Tries and fails, but nonetheless, there is a smiling Karain standing before us. Yes, you're right. All of you. We don't have to worry about all of this now. I will figure out when we can meet again, but for now, we really should go to bed. I think that we all have work tomorrow, and that includes you two, Tucker. Alright, let's go. Maruk and Rhoun get up from their own paces and follow us back to the executive suites. Past familiar hallways, we arrive and Rhoun fumbles with a key card a bit before letting himself in. I make sure to wave to the others before heading in. I see Rhoun has already found himself face first on his bed, tail flopping lifelessly to the side. What a silly display. Hey Rhoun. I'm gonna go and get changed real fast. Are you about ready for bed? I get what I think is an affirmative muffled sound from under the pillow. I hope that he's okay. Surely he's just tired. After everything that we heard tonight, I imagine that he's as confused as I am. Maybe even upset, that is, if he can even get upset. Maybe I'll see how he is in the morning. Quickly brushing my teeth and getting changed, I head out, only to see Rhoun sitting up in his bed, staring at his paw. How are you feeling, bud? No response. Unsure of what to do, I take a seat next to him and wait for him. I know that he needs time sometimes, not unlike myself. I see his nose twitch and the rest of his body follows as he looks over to me. Hey, bud. What's up? Hey, Rhoun. Are you okay? A lot happened tonight, huh? At dinner? It wasn't that bad. It was pretty bad, bud. I mean, you yelled at Maruk. Please don't remind me. He brings his head between his knees and I start gently patting his back. Do you want to talk about it? I want to pretend that it didn't happen. It's fine, bud. He deserved it. They kind of both did. I know you don't want to tell me, but he really is being a jackass. It's fine. He just doesn't like me, Tucker. That's all. But is there a reason? Especially now, surely he can... He deserves to not like me. Okay, bud. What does that... Sitting up again and with a slight exasperated tone, Rhoun replies. Can we talk about something else, bud? There's too much going on right now. I can't... You're right. I'm sorry. Do you, want to talk about what Merylwyn said? No. Yes. Did you understand any of it? You were pretty quiet. I can't understand what they don't tell me. Well, I can actually, but not a lot of it. Leaning forward, he lowers his head again, gently swaying back and forth. I try and give him a few more reassuring pats. I think he appreciates it. His tail is wagging under the blanket. They don't tell me everything. I'm not really one of the important department heads. I just change light bulbs. But hearing that they don't know what they're doing, that scares me. It scares me a lot. Surely they must know some things, right? They may. I'm sure that they know a lot. Professor Tyr is very smart, but that doesn't make it better. Sometimes when you know too much, You can get stuck on the simplest of things. I can't begin to imagine what's going on here anymore. And maybe I shouldn't? I'm no engineer, and I'm definitely not a physicist. I'm just a repairman. One of many. Rhoun, come on. You're more than that. But I shouldn't know these things, Tucker. Changing a light doesn't involve me worrying about the ship's engines, or worrying about some crazy physicist experiment going on. I just don't know. I'm getting pretty tired of hearing that around here. But I get what he's saying. It's not like I knew any of this before today either, but for him, as someone who's worked here for so long, I can't imagine what that's like. Well, you don't have to figure it out tonight, bud. You want to call it for the day? He takes a few seconds before I feel him breathe in deep and slowly release. Yeah, I think that would be nice. No problem. Let me just... Leaning over him, I flip the lights off and head over to my bed. I don't hear much else out of Rhoun, as he quickly throws off some of what he was wearing and pulls up the sheets over himself. He barely manages to eke out a good night before the room goes silent. Deciding that I'm done for the night too, I go to get undressed, only to realize that I've already gotten ready in the bathroom. Had neither of us noticed? Or was he just too out of it? That was definitely too much for one night. The captain, the Marin, Tyr, the crew, this damn ship. I don't even know where to start. I know that I can't do much now. I shouldn't get so worked up over it. I should really just... A strange dull noise echoes through the room. Is that you? No response, but a call in kind, and it doesn't sound like it's coming from the other bed. Are you still awake? Looking around, I notice an unfamiliar faint glow coming from the door. It seems orange in hue, but it passes quickly, as if there were a car in the night. Silently getting up, I creep over to the door. Not seeing anyone, I peek out and look left and right. No one there either. And no sign of any lights. Damn, I must be really tired if I'm imagining things. I don't have my own keycard yet, or I'd almost be tempted to go look. But I'll be shit out of luck if I get locked out. It's probably just some cleaning robot or something, like a futuristic Roomba. I'll ask Rhoun in the morning. Heading back inside, I curl up under the blankets. When sleep comes, my dreams are cold and weightless. I dream of a sleep to come, when yet that has transpired. One of a stellar lulling and true darkness. One that can only come at the end of all. To be continued. Oof. Thank you for reading. So. Stretchy stretch. So, what did you guys think? Honestly, I was expecting... Actually, I don't know what I was expecting of the captain. I guess I thought that they would be bigger, but like in a Zarya from Overwatch kind of way. But I guess this actually kind of works too. And it is kind of interesting and inventive in a way for them to be literally plugged into the ship. That I wasn't expecting, but that's pretty cool. What else? It was interesting to see tensions rising between the three. I wonder if you pick Merowyn as your companion, if more information about what is happening is revealed. I'm pretty sure that Maruk right now is stressing over the fact that there is a lot of stuff happening that even he is not privy to because he's supposed to be the head of security, but apparently there's things happening without his knowledge. Obviously, this is going to be split into 2 episodes, so I'm going to try to talk about just the things that happened, not what happened earlier. For once. What else? Well, really not much else. I am very, very curious to see what happened, or to know what happened between Maruk and Rhoun. Because apparently, Rhoun seems to think that whatever it is that is going on between them is his fault. And I'm pretty sure that Maruk is, like, that would be more than happy to agree. But I am not entirely sure that it is indeed his fault. Also, how did you guys like the new sprites for Rhoun? You have to bear with me, my throat hurts right now. 2 hours and 44 minutes recording. It's probably going to be shorter than that, but still. But yeah. So what do you think of Rhoun's new sprites? He looks pretty snazzy. I like the new clothes. At first, I thought that it looked kind of busy, but like seeing it now, it kind of fits. It makes him look like a tech nerd. A Best Buy employee. Geek Squad. Anyways, but yeah, still the same cute little chubby maintenance guy. I think Maruk is gonna have his sprites also changed a little, and I'm assuming Merowyn will be last. What else? There was something else that also stood out. We also got to see what the eye actually looks like now. Well, sort of. Like the little twinkling star with like nothing around it, I guess. Or, well, yeah, it looks like there's nothing around it. It would be funny if it turns out it's like, oh, the eye is actually your star, and there's some sort of like gravitational lensing going on, so the Karains can see it, but we can't because it's just affecting their system. So what we're seeing is our solar system, our star specifically, but who knows? We'll find that out later. Obviously, the whole talk about the May run possibly having some thing to do with the fact that Tucker is there is interesting. It would, and the fact that the Mayron itself didn't it sounded like that it doesn't have origins with Karain tech, or like it didn't exactly come from anywhere in the Karain space. Like it might have been a probe or something. It would be funny if it turns out to be like one of the Voyager probes. And it's somehow generating energy or something. Or like that it's like a nuclear reactor or something, and they don't know what that is. So it's like, oh, like Tucker gets to see it. So it's like, oh, that's what is that, like one orb that like if you stick a screwdriver into it to separate the things that it'll kill you. I forgot what it's called, but yeah, it'd be funny if it's like one of those. Anyways, so yeah. So, write down in the comments what you think. And thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Roads Yet Traveled yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description. For whatever Twitter page that I linked. I think it's Cryptid Dog's Twitter page. Yeah, it's that one. Obviously, Twitter is breaking, but it should still work, hopefully. But that will lead you to the itch.io page where you can download it. Or, you can subscribe to their Patreon to get early access to builds of Roads Yet Traveled, like myself. And I am reading the Patreon build right now, so what you saw is Patreon, but you're not going to see it until it goes public. I'm just reading this ahead of time, because thankfully most of these builds are already done by the time that they reach Patreon. Anyways, but yeah, so you do that, and you get basically what is the already finished version of Roads Yet Traveled earlier than anyone else. Not than me, though, because, I will read it at the same time as you do. And, yeah. So, I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.